As usual, we start creating a new module because this is quite a sophisticated component. So we create it under System Settings, and then in the SXA tutorial folder, and create a new folder. Well, I think we don't have to create a folder, that's done automatically. So let's create directly a module and call it Carousel. We will create it under the SXA tutorial folder. So selecting this one, keeping these checked, and make it a site setup. So now the module is created. Done. So should be there. Yes, custom carousel. Here we go. Now cloning from the well-known promo. Feature Experience Accelerator. Page content, taking promo, use the script to clone the rendering, call it custom carousel, and use it under the module that we just created. I think that's all fine so far. Parameters, we will make a copy, data source as well. And for the view, well, we actually want to create a new view. Select copy MVC view and call it custom carousel. Proceed.
Don't you just love the flexibility of the promo component?
Yes, it's genius. So yeah, now let's take a look at the templates, which probably don't fit our needs because it's promo and not a carousel, but we can easily adjust that. So we don't need any of the fields on the carousel itself. So let's just delete all the sub items. Now we need to create a new template for the slide itself that we're going to have under carousel, so that the carousel hosts all the slides as dedicated templates. So let's have a new template and call it carousel slide based on standard template. Yeah. And put it under. That's also fine. Close. Here's our new template. Let's give it a section carousel slide and add the fields. So we need a slide title. We need a slide text. We need a slide image. And maybe we want a link from a call to action button. So let's call it slide link. And of course, we apply the sources with the query tokens offered by SXA, which is the linkable homes. And for the image, we are going to use the query $site-media. So that's the slide.
Don't we want to set the field types as well?
Oh, you're right. You're right. So slide title is fine. Slide text, let's make it a multi-line text. Slide image, obviously an image, and then a general link. Good. Yeah, that should be it, right?
Yep.
Save it. Now we want to add an insert option to our carousel, because from the carousel data source we want to add more. We want to add more slides. So let's add some standard values and put the right insert options. So carousel, want to have more slides. Good. So now we want to create an effect that when we add a new carousel, it automatically adds a bunch of slides. In our case, we want to have automatically 2 slides added with each carousel out of the box. So therefore, we're using branch templates. And in the branch templates, custom carousel, we create a new branch, which will be based on our carousel. So custom carousel, so that will be the custom carousel. And underneath, we are going to add now 2 carousel slides, which I call carousel slide 1 and carousel slide, carousel slide 2. So now we need to change the insert options of the folder because we don't want to insert now the custom carousel template, but we want to insert our new branch template. So going here, assign, remove the custom carousel and therefore add the custom carousel branch template, which is this guy. Save. Now, now we're good to go to insert the module, but let's double check it first, because usually there's a field missing. So let's have a look, and here it is. So yeah, right. So usually our name field is empty when we clone a new component, which will cause an error on installing the module, or it will not fail, or it will fail but not cause an error, let's say, and we might wonder why it hasn't performed the steps that we want to have. So let's put in something like custom carousel. Save. Let's check also the data item, but here we can see that this is already fine. Now let's install the module, maybe directly from here. So install site module. There's one site not yet, so installing it.
Yeah, so you could use this feature if you want to install a module on several sites all at once, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of the other way around and doing it from a site level.
So there's some errors which don't look very handy, but let's check if it actually did what we need. So we're expecting to have under data a new custom carousel folder, which has insert options for new folders or our branch template, which is the case, so that's fine. Then let's check under presentation available renderings. We probably expect to have custom carousel in there with our carousel component, so that looks also fine. And now I'm also expecting to have rendering variants, looking pretty much like promo, so we need to clean that up next. But as it seems, everything is installed, even though we saw this error. So, but everything we expect to have seems to be there. Now let's clean up the rendering variants because we probably want to create something else than promo. So let's say, well, the default could be remaining, and then we delete sub items. So it's an empty variation. So what to do next? Well, our carousel will be based on an on certain sets of CSS and also some fonts and all of that. So that is coming from our initial site, which is using the Aalst carousel library or JavaScript. So we are going to make use of that. So let's now create a base theme that that we add now all the files that we need so that our carousel can work at the end. So let's go to media library and base themes.
Okay, so we already have our carousel here, right? That's the one that we did previously to test this module.
Yes. So what we did was we used the insert option here from base themes just to create a new base theme, gave it any name, which in this case is test Aalst carousel. and created a few folders also from insert options. So a styles folder, a scripts folder, and a media folder, and uploaded some files, which you can see here. So we created a font folder with the fonts, a scripts folder containing the scripts, and a styles folder. Now, one thing we did was we turned off the asset optimizer for now, just not to, well, this would basically create optimized min files from the scripts and styles. And yeah, we just wanted to go first with the original files on that theme. So that's why here the asset optimizer is turned off, but we can turn it on later again.
Yeah, and the other thing I think we did as well is that we renamed the font files, right, to include the extension. So in this case, icon font -wav and -wav2, because, well, the extension within the media library would otherwise disappear, and you would have no, well, you couldn't really use that. So therefore, we changed the names, and we also obviously changed the reference within the styles section to those font files.
Right. So we did this already for in one of the other tutorials and explained it a bit. Of course, wherever these files are referenced, probably in one of those CSS files. In one of those CSS files, you also have to change the path because the files are now renamed. But exactly as Mark mentioned. Cool. Now, this base theme we use now in our site theme. So let's have a look to our site theme, and it's located here. So we have a site theme here, and let's make sure, yes. So as you can see, the test owl carousel is selected here as a base theme. So we are using this base theme already in our site theme. So this we prepared already, not to watch us uploading files.
Yeah, and by using a base theme, we can also use it in other themes as well, right? If there was a need for, so if you would create your own module, create a base theme for your custom styling and JavaScript, and you can reuse it across multiple themes and sites. Yes.
So the next thing we need to do is basically adjust our view file. So we want to take care about the front-end markup, and we are starting basically with clearing our view file that we just created. So let me bring this up the screen here. So as you can see, our general files look like that, and they contain, or view files look like that, and they contain already some surrounding or wrapping divs. Now, that's kind of how you like it. I mean, by using Scriven, you can handle all of that directly in your Scriven file, so you don't have a part of the markup here and the part of the markup here. As we take the complete markup from our carousel that has been provided by our front-end developers, we don't actually need those lines here. So that's why we directly remove them and handle it completely later on in our Scriven file. So the only thing the view does then is actually iterating through all our variant definition items to see whatever's in there and render that on the screen. Save, fine. Next step, let's create the CSS file. So first of all, we need the CSS file or SCSS file covering our needs, and probably there is already one. Let me see. Yes, so there's an SXA tutorial carousel file, which I created in my theme here in the SAS folder, and it contains already all the styles that we need, just copied from the original static website. So yeah, as I said, just copied all the needed stuff. So that's this one, and now we need to create the actual markup. So let me create a new folder called custom carousel, and in there we will consider the variant definition default. So there we go. Well, default, here we go. And in here we create now a new file named custom carousel.scriven. So this will contain our markup. Now let me copy the markup that we got from our static website. I already extracted it. So let's have a look at this one. So what we can see is that we have a section and then basically the carousel, and in the div carousel inner, we have all the slides as you can see here. So we have slide 1, slide 2, slide 3, and then we have some controls to the arrows left and right to move the slides, and then a class that is used then later on to display a few dots, which are the carousel indicators, so that you can see how many slides are actually there, and you can even navigate to one of the slides. So I would say just a typical carousel. But of course, we need to adjust it to make it use our template, and yeah, that we can actually maintain it in Sitecore. So what we need to do is, of course, we only need one slide because we're going to iterate through the slides how many there might be. And let's create then a loop to loop through all the slides. So that will be a for loop. And let's say this is, we call this I slide. Where am I? And now we're using the SCQuery function of SXA, and you can see that it's already giving me some hints on how to use that. So we will use the I item here as well, which is our carousel, and we will query then as displayed in the explanation here. We will query all the child items, which are the slides. So that should be fine, beside the fact that we use 2 curly brackets. And now it's giving also a better syntax highlighting. Now, of course, we have to end that loop. Just like that. And within the slide, we now need to make use of our fields. So instead of the background image, the fixed one, we are going to use now the one coming from the template, which is the I slide, and the field name is slide image, and we only want the URL of the image here because it's a background image. So we use the field extension media URL. What else do we need to exchange? Probably the title. So we also use here the I slide dot what was it, slide title, and then we're using the multi-line text field that we've created, which is then the I slide dot, and what was the name of our field?
Not sure.
I have it here somewhere in the notes. Text. Well, that was easy. Slide text. And what else do we need? We need a link. So that will be our I slide link, and we are using again an extension, which is the target. And this is probably then also, well, we can leave that for now.
I think we do need to put the stuff in the href in curly brackets, right?
Oh, of course. Thanks. So that's the advantage of pair programming, I would say.
Yeah, indeed.
Having someone looking over the stuff that you're doing. So that should be already doing the majority of our functionality. Now let's do some minor adjustments. On the one hand, we want to make sure that only one of the slides is active, because the active one is actually the one being shown. So we don't want to apply the active class to all of our slides while iterating through the creation process. So let me just add a parameter here or a variable called active, and we fill it with active, and we are using it. We are using it here. Well, not like that, but like that. And once we've done the first slide, we are just setting it to an empty string. So another thing, just for orientation later, we see here this comment with the slide 1. So let's also make the slide countable, so it's easier later on in the markup to identify the different slides. So we'll create slide number variable and set it to 1 initially, and then, well, of course, and then after each iteration, we just add it. Do you know if there's something like a plus or in Scriven? Otherwise, I would just do it like that.
I'm not sure.
Well, that works definitely. Let's keep it like that. So I think.
Do you want to do something with that slide number?
Yes, that's what I said, right? So slide number.
And you might want to check the syntax, because it now says number, and I think the variable says number.
Thanks, number, and here probably the same, and this. That could be it.
Yeah, final comment, and I'm going to shut up, is that you need to move that comment from line 8 within the for loop. Otherwise, it would not only show once.
Right. No, you don't need to shut up. I'm happy for all the things we discover now instead of later. Yeah, but it looks good. 2 curly brackets here, 2 curly brackets there. Let's give it a try.
Yeah.
So actually, to give it a try, we just open the tutorial folder in the terminal. Here we go. Went down here.
I was just about to say there's one thing that we're forgetting, I think, kind of synchronizing this.
Yeah, of course. So let's start the SXA watch command. And let's synchronize our changes into Sitecore to see what's happening. So we need to log in with admin and B, and here we go. Let's save the changes here. Scriven import was successful. Let's do the same on that one. Action changed, uploading pre-optimized was successful. So that looks good. Let's take a look into Sitecore and see if the Scriven template has been actually added. So in the site, under rendering variants, custom carousel, we now have the custom carousel Scriven with all the stuff that we added. Let's actually add it to a page and see how it looks.
Yeah.
Right. So let's add here under test. Well, I have already a carousel test page. Let's open up this one. Blank page. So there is a custom carousel section in the toolbox, and there is a custom carousel that we can drag and drop. No data source yet. Let's create one. So let's create custom carousel number 1. Ooh. let's go through the error, and what we can see is that there is an unexpected if keyword after the add character. So that probably indicates that something's wrong with our view. And as we remove the diff statements, probably this add is no longer needed. So let's remove it, save the file, and go back to Experience Editor and refresh.
Ooh, the suspense. Oh, there he is.
Surprise, surprise. So looks promising. I mean, not yet a carousel, but not too bad. And now there are a few things that we can encounter here. So the first thing is that, well, we can't edit the image because we've used the media URL field extension. So this way we take off the ability to change the image field from Experience Editor. And also we see that, well, that looks strange. I mean, there is a slide title, but if I type, I see I'm typing, but it's actually not the field being shown. And the same happens here. So as you can see, I'm typing something. The slide text field expands as I'm typing, but it doesn't seem to be the one that's being shown to me. Now let's go through it bit by bit. The first thing that we should add is experience buttons to our component so that we can definitely maintain everything straight from here. So what we need is to go back and move to the core database to create some experience buttons. And of course, not wait for the content editor to start automatically. So under application, web edit, and then it should be edit frame buttons, I think. So, and what we can see is that the carousel actually has already some experience buttons that we probably just want to reuse. So let's just duplicate this folder and call it custom carousel. Okay. So now we've just created the exact same buttons just for our custom carousel, and we can basically keep everything that we have here. So now let's add this edit frame to our slides. And therefore, we're going to use Scriven. And we'll probably want this in here. So SC edit. How's it called, Mark? Is it?
I think it's indeed SC edit frame. Not sure why it's not showing up in the auto completion, but it is SC edit frame.
Okay, and let's see how to use it. SC edit frame. Scriven templates. Embedded functions. SC edit frame. So it's SC edit frame item and then giving the name of
the folder that is being used in the core database, or in our case, custom carousel.
And we're using it for iSlide.
Yep.
And custom carousel. And we shouldn't forget about closing the edit frame again.
Yep.
SC, how's it called?
And edit frame.
Thanks. Edit frame.
That should do the trick.
Yeah, Scriven import was successful already, as I saved. Yeah, let's go back and see what it did to our component. Slide. Yeah, so we see we have here the ability to create new slides. Now, one thing is still missing. We want to be able to maintain the fields that are currently not editable from Experience Editor. So therefore, we are going to add another edit frame button. or a field editor button. So that should be, I don't know.
Call it edit.
Edit?
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. Move it top. Sort first. And then choose what fields we want to maintain within that. So that should be.
So that's slide title, slide text, slide image, and slide link.
Exactly,
Right?
but I've prepared something.
Oh.
So these are these are fields, and probably we want to use an icon that's commonly used across SXA, which is this little, I don't know, this little configuration wheel, the gear wheel. So I'm just also not to enter the icon dialog, which sometimes takes some time. So, and the header could be edit slide data.
Yep.
And maybe tooltip as well. Save it again. Let's see what it does to our carousel. So we have the little steering wheel, and we see that there's actually some fields missing. We can fix that. But we see that there is something in there which is actually not displayed here still. So we still have to solve that issue. But first, let's bring the fields in there. And I think it's related to some missing blanks here in the
Or by
description.
adding too much blanks.
Or by adding too much, that's probably rather it. So let's remove all those. You're right, I remember that one. And refresh the page. And take a look again. So here are all our fields beside the link.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Is there an additional space there? Yeah. Hit backspace. Yeah.
Is it updated instantly, or do I need to refresh?
Yep.
I need to refresh.
Yeah, it's.
So fixed.
Voila.
So we can detect the data. We can maintain all the data now from Experience Editor. That's good, but it's still not matching to the ones that we see here. Right, so there was something entered, but here is everything empty. So that is because we have an issue with the original styles and the way how the Experience Editor treats or understands things. So this particular carousel here is showing slides by changing the opacity. So it's making things transparent, but from a markup perspective, they are still there and being considered. So now as you see me typing here, it seems that something is overlapping, the other fields that I'm not seeing. So to fix that, we can just go back to our master database, and we will make use of the how is that theme called? Sorry,
We can use the editor. Editing theme.
Editing theme, right? So because every site has an editing theme, when you create a site, usually that's created for you automatically. And as we've stored our theme under a different path, then it was automatically created for us. We find the editing theme here. If you are unsure where to find it, this is configured in the site settings item. So if we go to the site settings, you see here a path for the editing theme. So this way we could also move it into the other folder and remove the other one completely so that we are not trapped and trying to edit the wrong one. Now, working with the editing theme is like any other theme. So we can just create, for example, a styles folder. And in there, we probably want to create a new file. And then instead of using the opacity, we want to override the opacity style with a display none, but just in case we are editing. So this way we could make sure that everything is in sync. So let me create a file. New file. Let me directly save it somewhere. Let's call it, I don't know, carousel.css.
Yep.
And save it. Already exists. Damn. So I probably created that up front. Let's call it carousel1 then. Save. And let's add the stuff we need. So as you can see, for our hero element and all the classes applied here, as you can see, we are using display none additionally to whatever is added there. And if it's active, well, this is, we're using display block. So let's save it.
Yep.
And upload this one to our media library.
So right now in edit mode, instead of using the opacity to hide things, which would still be there, we're now just really hiding them by removing them visually from the page, right?
Yes, exactly. So let me just find that file again.
So this is a great way if you would encounter issues that you might have with themes that are looking differently in edit mode, if there are like style changes, but your theme does look great if it's in production, like if it's in normal mode. So if you need to make those changes, you could use an editing theme way of doing that, so that your theme itself would still be consistent, valid, and nothing changes, and you only may apply those changes into when you are editing. So it's just out of the box trick that you could use with SXA to well, ensure that your styling also works in editing mode, and therefore have that full author experience and not like hurting your styling for the production environment. So as you can see right now, Sebastian is typing, and it is actually showing the text that Sebastian is typing in there instead of hiding it somewhere in a different layer.
Yeah, so that obviously fixed the issue that we initially had. And let's put in some data to see if everything looks as expected. So I think I have some slides here already. So let's have this slide, and let's say this is my slide 1, and I'm adding some lorem ipsum text from this beautiful generator. So text, yeah, hit OK. Here we go. And I'm just wondering why I don't see.
Well, we only have one slide in there right now, don't we?
Let's see. There's data, custom carousel. No, there should be 2. Let's see what happens here. Browse another image. Slide 2, for example. Save. Refresh that page. Looks all fine. Edit frame is there, but we still can't navigate to the second slide. So we can edit everything, but can't navigate. That might be because the original markup and the styling and the JavaScript might interfere with our edit frame. So let's find another position for it. And maybe also from an editing perspective, it might be more convenient to actually put it near this box. So let's put it actually very close to everything. Something like here. Give it a try. Reload the page. So we can still edit that. We have an edit frame now around here. And well, we can still not navigate. But that might be now because of the designing mode that again adds something that our OWL carousel cannot work with. And now it actually starts working. So that means that, well, we're using an OWL carousel, which probably has never heard of Sitecore before. Well, we don't know, but it wasn't made for that. And that's why it doesn't care to handle our to handle being edited in our experience editor. So to properly fix that, we would have to change the JavaScript of the OWL carousel and maybe some of the styles for it. But I think that would go way beyond the idea of this tutorial. Now, we have some kind of workaround that we can switch off the designing mode, and then we are able to navigate the different slides and also edit then the different fields of the different slides, right? So that should be sufficient for our cases.
Yeah, and if you're encountering like those issues that we had and you're not really sure how to solve them or not to solve them, then they're like the alternative would be to disable the JavaScript functionality and just put out the different components there, right? So for in our case, our slides, you would then just output the slides underneath each other or next to each other with the title, the text, the image, and the link. So that at least it would be editable. But for our purpose, we really wanted to mimic the public-facing website and give the author that same experience to see how that imagery comes across and all the text and things like that. So that's why we want to mimic it as close as possible. And well, if our instructions would be that they need to switch slides, in order to switch slide, they need to disable design mode. I think that would suffice as well.
Yeah. Great.
Cool.
So here's our carousel.
Thank you for watching.